The Chinese Cultural Revolution, or the 10 Years of Chaos as it is known in modern-day China, was a movement led by communist leader Mao Zedong and his fourth wife Jiang Qing. The revolution was meant to destroy the four olds, which are thinking, habits, culture, and customs.
The Cultural Revolution occurred after the Great Leap Forward, which was Mao's attempt to catch up to the other world superpowers economically. The Great Leap Forward left China in shambles with millions dead due to famine.
The tension between the Soviet Union and China were due to conflicting political ideas, which led to border conflicts during the Cultural Revolution. The other main reason for the Cultural Revolution was to remove people who were a threat to Mao's power. This included engineers, scientists, scholars, and factory managers.
On May 25, 1966, Ni Yuanzi, the Radical Party secretary of Peking University Philosophy Department, created a large poster attacking the university's administration. Mao saw this poster and had it read over the radio. This gave his approval on attacks of people in positions of authority all across the country.
Ultimately, this poster was the start of the Cultural Revolution. After this, on June 1st, Mao put out a newspaper article reading, "Sweep away all demons and monsters." The demons and monsters Mao refers to were intellectuals and people in positions of authority.
After this appeal, Mao left Beijing and retreated to the countryside. He left Liu Shaoqi and the other senior members in charge of the government. They were unsure how to handle the student movement created by Mao's article, so Liu sent work teams to universities to keep the children under control.
The students viewed these as attacks from the government and used them as justifications for attacking communist government headquarters. Mao then returned in August and praised the students, calling them the first generation of Red Guards. Throughout the Cultural Revolution, the Red Guards grew to be an army of more than 20 million high school and college students.
On August 5th, Mao announced that he wanted people to rise up against his rival and party enemies. Mao described this as bombard the headquarters. Liu Shaoqi was arrested by the Red Guard, and Mao's wife, Jiang Qing, set up the Central Cultural Revolution Group, or CCRG.
After the CCRG was set up, 4 communist leaders were selected to run the group. The group consisted of Jiang Qing, Yao Wenyun, Zhang Xinquang, and Wang Hongwen. They called themselves the Gang of Four. With Jiang leading the group, the Gang of Four directed the arrest of moderate party officials and intellectuals during the Cultural Revolution. Because of this, the Cultural Revolution was almost blamed entirely on the Gang of Four.
The CCRG ran the Cultural Revolution, and on August 18, 1966, Mao held his first Red Guard rally in Tiananmen Square. Mao ended up holding 8 of these rallies. Slogans were chanted at these rallies such as "Down with the four olds," "Up with the four news," "New thinking, new customs, new habits."
In 1966, Mao published a book that students in China were greatly encouraged to carry. The book, titled Little Red Book, contained quotations from Chairman Mao that the Red Guards were encouraged to use to weed out intellectuals.
As the Cultural Revolution moved on, the Red Guards began to spread throughout China. Local committees throughout China imprisoned, tortured, and murdered a large number of class enemies. Qualifications to be a class enemy were being in a position of power or to be wealthier than others.
Most of these class enemies were tried in kangaroo courts by peasant juries. These courts were ruled by biased judges that lacked justice and gave harsh verdicts.
Due to the Red Guards, by January 1967, China's educational system had been shut down.
There are many reasons why teenagers had a desire to join the Red Guard. One woman who joined when she was 18 said, "I felt it was a glorious thing to do." People also joined because there wasn't much else to do, and if they didn't participate in rallies, they could be accused of being a class enemy. People also felt pressure to join. Li Zhengsheng told U.S. News and World Report, "If the crowd chanted, I chanted. If everyone raised their fist, I raised my fist. If you didn't, the crowd could easily turn on you."
The Communist Party sent out members of the Red Guard to destroy the Four Olds. The Red Guards burned ancient treasures, attacked historical buildings, and humiliated intellectuals, including professionals, college professors, and doctors. They even attacked people on the street for having hair too long.
Border conflicts between Russia and China were due to the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia. Tensions between the Soviet Union and China increased, and China became worried about a Soviet invasion.
In addition, border clashes intensified due to military buildup between the two countries, which created threats of a nuclear war.
In daily life during the Cultural Revolution, people lived in constant fear of the Red Guards. They would burn their own books and smash family heirlooms. In school during the Cultural Revolution, students would spend more time singing revolutionary songs and discussing Mao quotations than actually learning subjects like math or reading.
Tens of millions of Chinese wore Mao badges. Men, women, boys, and girls wore baggy Mao suits. They ran around quoting sayings from the Little Red Book. One of Mao's favorite sayings was, "Destroy the old, establish the new."
As the revolution dragged on, people started to notice the foolishness of some aspects of life in the Red Guard. Li Zhengsheng told New York Times things were more and more foolish. Everyone was cold, and someone would shout, "Anybody cold?" And we replied, "No, because we have the red sun in our hearts, and that is very warm." "Is the work difficult?" someone else would shout. "No, not at all. It was far worse than this on the long march."
After the disastrous Great Leap Forward, Mao knew he needed to make a change agriculturally. He sent millions of urban people into the fields to help with the harvest, and millions more were ordered to build railroads and dams. Due to the increasing nuclear tension between the Soviet Union and China, everyone in Shanghai was ordered to build bomb shelters.
Mao even attempted to replace the Chinese characters with the Latin alphabet. Jiang Qing was in charge of the arts during the Cultural Revolution. She controlled everything from film studios and operas to theatrical companies and radio stations. Jiang and her followers destroyed old movies and replaced them with pro-revolutionary ones. People with careers in acting were labeled as devils and monsters. Poets, artists, and opera singers were imprisoned, and pop music was banned as capitalist poison. Some of the forbidden writers were Aristotle, Shakespeare, and Mark Twain.
There were many consequences for the lack of revolutionary enthusiasm. People were persecuted and beaten to death by the Red Guards if they did not seem devoted to Mao. Everyone could be beaten, including small children and babies.
After 1971, violence started to taper off due to Mao's lack of interest in the Cultural Revolution and the Red Guards. This lack of interest was caused by conflicting political powers within China.
The Cultural Revolution dragged on for 10 years, from 1966 to 1976, eventually ending with the arrest of the Gang of Four in October 1976. They were charged for persecuting to death 34,000 people. 1 month prior to this, Mao Zedong passed away due to failing health.
By the end of the Cultural Revolution, many people died. However, nobody knows how many due to lack of documentation of the deaths. Numbers range from 500,000 to 3 million, but these are all mere guesses.
One of the main events of the Cultural Revolution was the ending of China's educational system. In 1977, the universities reopened their doors to admit students with an entrance examination. This was the way students were admitted before the revolution.
In conclusion, the Cultural Revolution was a large attempt to create equality between classes. One of Mao's significant quotes about this was, "Classes struggle. Some classes triumph, others are eliminated. Such is history. Such is the history of civilization for thousands of years."